Was there a moment when you said, wow, this is bigger than I thought, or did you expect all the, in the season, where all the attention, all the articles, or whatever, just the...
I don't know. I think when those three players signed with us in July, that this was not going to be a normal year. I've been there with Showtime, and Showtime never got criticized. If the Lakers and Magic and Kareem and Worthy were playing today and Showtime was out there, would that be tantamount to a celebration for 82 games? How they carried themselves, and they actually started the high fives. I don't even know what they were doing one time. So what are you guys doing? It's a high five, coach. Get with it. It's like Twitter back then. But yeah, I thought we were going to be in for a great ride, and there was going to be ups and downs, because I understand that happens in the NBA. And I think we had an incredible ride. I think the league had an incredible ride. I think our players did not end the way we wanted it to. It was rather sad for all of us, but I am happy we have those three together, and we're going to put other guys with them, with Udonis and Mike getting healthy, that we could be here. And I'll say it, I'm not afraid to say it. We are going to be multiple contenders, okay? I have no problem saying that, okay? We will contend, and that's all it's about. When you got a team that can contend for, I think, for a championship, that's what you want, because then you got a shot at winning.
Do you find people, players, like Mike Bibby, he gave up a lot to be here for half the season. Do you find, have you talked to players who are lining up to come here, or are there guys look at all the attention and say, I don't want to be part of that?
Well, the first person you really have to look at is Mickey, put up an awful lot to put this team together. He's done this for the 16 years he's been the managing partner here, is that he's always wanted simply to win and put the best team together. And he's made a lot of sacrifices as an owner in a lot of ways to do this. The players who decided to give up whatever they gave up to come together, I think they saw something very unique in that they had a chance to win. Players are not stupid. They aren't. And a player who knows he can go somewhere to have an opportunity to win a championship, it happens every year. There's always guys a little bit at the end of their careers that will pick and choose where they want to play for a minimum somewhere because they know they have an opportunity to win. They're basically doing what Chris and Dwayne and LeBron did at the other end of the spectrum. But they don't get criticized for that. Taking less. And so there was a lot of sacrifice, there, and a lot of, they gave up a lot to come together from that standpoint. So, I think they should be applauded for that.
That late game offense was a topic of conversation. The claim being that you guys didn't run plays; it was an isolation game.
That's not true.
What did you think of the late game offense?
The one thing that I, as a former coach, get upset with is we were a team. It's fashionable to say that, that the other team was more of a team than we were. That is BS. We would have never gotten this far without really sacrificing and playing roles and those veteran players accepting rotation, responsibilities, up and down. We were the epitome of a team. Our team defense was as good or better than anybody's in the NBA. Our offense was as explosive and as good as anybody's in the NBA. And so I sort of, that's the only thing I resent, that all of a sudden now that a team beat a bunch of individuals. We wouldn't have got there just with individual play, from that standpoint. And we're going to become a better team. That's what it's all about. And, so when it comes down to, what you do in the fourth quarter was not born out of individual play. It was born out of, how you got there all year long. And whatever tweaks you have to make in your offense or your defense, you'll make it based on what happened the year before. So we were a hell of a team. And I still think that I don't believe that there's going to be a lot of teams that would want to play us in a 7-game series. And think that they can win 4 games. And that's how we're going to proceed forward with this team.
Wayne is.
Last couple of questions, guys.
Wayne's approaching 30 now. He talks about it all the time. And you've seen players evolve as they get older. What do you want to see from Wayne so that he can continue to play at the level or close to the level that he's been at for the last few years?
I mean, consistency is what it's about for, players like Dwayne. Health, I mean, really has to continue to work on, staying healthy, and so that's almost going to an above the brain thinking from a conditioning standpoint to make sure that his ankles, his knees, shoulders, all those things that he's had problems with over the years, are stabilized and are strengthened, because it's all about him being on the court. He knows the game as well as anybody. He's got tremendous IQ for basketball, what it takes to win. But we also know that he's an explosive, to the rim scorer. And staying consistent with his medium range jumper, being able to continue to make plays. I think that Dwayne is the best defensive 2-guard in the league. When he wants to be, when he has to be, he has all these abilities, and so you got to use them all, take it to another level. And the same thing for LeBron and Chris. They got to use all these skills that might have been a little bit dormant because of the massive load they had to carry alone. They don't have to do that anymore. So they can spend more energy on a lot of things. So, a lot of thinking about next year for him, and also LeBron and Chris and Udonis and Mike, all these guys, a lot of thinking about now, we got a year behind us under our belts, and this is what we'll do.
Along those same lines, it seems like for LeBron, he had to get adjusted to not having the ball in his hands as much, and also initiating offense from the post. Where do you see that growth for him?
As I said, he is a go-to player across the board. He's one of the most complete players in the game. And if you study the statistics, from layups, to short-range shots, medium-range shots, long-range shots, from an offensive standpoint, 3-point shots, the one area that we see that he doesn't take a lot of attempts from is the medium-range area, is the pull-up jumper from medium range. He's either dunking, he's either laying it up, he's either making shots on the fly, or he's taking long jumpers or threes. And that one little area we talked about, that's a different game. That's a catch and shoot game. And he's never been a catch and shoot player. And that's an off the dribble game, trying to find separation and raising and making jumpers. A lot like what Dwayne did when Dwayne really broke through. So believe me, he's a good post-up player, and post-up play has to do with the number of repetitions that you give him in a game. He ain't just going to dive to the post and demand that, in a freelance situation. The post-up plays are usually called, and I'm sure there'll be more called for him next year. And so I think once you define where you want him to be and how you want to balance out his game for this team, I think he's a fast learner. It won't take long for him to get better in those situations.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a time with the Lakers in the 80s where you set those guys down and said, Kareem, it's going to be Magic's team at this point. Do you see that happening with these guys?
I don't think I ever said that to Kareem.
Magic told the story.
I can't see that.
Magic told the story.
I think it's just, it was like, simply, passing the torch. Kareem knew it. I mean, in '85 he was 38 years old and he was the MVP against Boston, and so he knew that Irvin and James Worthy and Byron Scott, he knew that it was vital for those guys to get more involved in offensive play. Actually, we didn't start running many pick and roll plays with Irvin until 1986-87. It was always post-ups with Worthy catch and shoots and get 40 points in transition. That's how we played. And there was a time, 87, 88, where he started, taking threes, and he became a three-point shooter, and he became a back-to-the-basket, baby skyhook player. I mean, he improved his game. He got in the gym. And I'm sure that if Irvin, were to ask any of our players, what should I do, that they asked him, he'd say, get in the gym. Just get in the gym, and that's where you purge it. That's where you get better. That's where you get your competitive things, settled, and you come back.
But the next year. My question was, do you foresee these guys, Dwayne and having to eventually get to a point where one is going to end up being the dominant voice, maybe in the locker room, the dominant player on the court, and there's a definition between the two.
That's a tacit covenant agreement that they have. There isn't anyone, I'm going to be the guy that speaks, you're going to be the guy that scores. You know, that doesn't happen in the locker room. I mean, you just, you know, when Kareem, you know, was Cap, he was the captain, and Magic came as a 19-year-old, you know, prodigy, phenom. Kareem saw how good he was, and he also saw that he wore his emotions on his sleeve. And so, you know, Kareem was not the most vocal, but let me tell you, he was a leader. He was the leader of that team, and if anybody got out of line, he would let him know. He let him just go. He gave him his lead. And Magic's leadership was not the kind of leadership that would, you know, that would distort a team or create dissension. It was all good. It was about winning. He says, fine, I got another guy that can do all that, let all the media go to him and all that stuff. But there was it's a tacit agreement. It's a covenant that is created, you know, born out of respect for one another, and that just happens. And I think they have a good handle on it already in the locker room, and they have a good handle on it out on the court. It's everybody that's picking apart. I mean, really just sort of picking everything apart down to the last little, you know, morsel on the carcass that I think sort of gets in the way. If they got it right, they're going to get it better.
Pat, a year ago, there was a whole different emotion around this team, and I'm sure around you as you were planning how to recruit or recall. Could you talk what odds were you giving yourself of signing all these guys a year ago?
You know, when we went through the 15-win season and we planned for the future, we just, I mean, it didn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that 2010 was going to be a year where there were going to be some available players. And so from that point on, we simply planned to have the room. That's it. Just simply to have the room, not knowing who would take it. And so the fact that we created a platform and had the room, when we got to 2010, players could see that we had the room and they could decide from that standpoint. So I always dreamt it. You know, I always dreamt it because they were available players. You know, that was a dream that I had, that Mickey had, that we all had. But did we think it would become a reality? You know, I don't know if you ever think it's going to become a reality, but it did. And it became a reality because we planned it, and we had the room, and they took it and wanted to play together. And so that's where we are today. I feel great about that, and I feel great for the franchise. I feel great for the city of Miami because they get to watch these players every night. You get to write about them, and I feel great that next year we're going to, you know, be a contender. I believe we're going to be a strong contender, you know, to play for another title, and that's what the whole thing's about. Winning it, well, that's a whole other deal. You got to do that on the court.
All right, guys?
Okay, guys.